I want to discuss in greater detail the expansion of advertising in your department under your tenure. And I believe you testified regarding some of these matters yesterday in front of the United States Senate. In particular, I want to discuss the department's $220 million ad campaign. This is the ad campaign that featured you at Mount Rushmore. You're familiar with this ad campaign, correct?
I am familiar with it. It was an ad campaign that was...
I'm going to ask you some questions about it, Madam Secretary. So, as I understand it, this is a $220 million ad campaign. It's split between two contractors. One of those contractors got $143 million. That contractor is called Safe America Media, correct?
Correct.
Okay. That company is affiliated with a former political director of the National Republican Congressional Committee. Now, yesterday you testified, I think I'm quoting you right, you said, quote, or in reference to this contract, that, quote, it went out to a competitive bid. Do you stand by that statement?
It was a no-bid contract where two vendors were
It was a no-bid
chosen.
contract.
If it would have been a no-bid contract, if I'm using that correctly, it goes out to two different vendors.
Correct. So it was not a competitive. Let me try to explain what the discrepancy, because a competitive bid is very different than a no competitive bid, and I'll just explain why. We know that your testimony yesterday, when you said, again, I'll quote, it went out to a competitive bid, is untrue. The reason we know it's untrue is because under federal law, your agency is required, whenever the agency decides to skip competitive bidding, to file a notice with the public explaining why. And in this case, your agency filed a notice. You're aware of that, right? Justification and approval for other than full and open competition. Your agency made a decision not to proceed with competitive bidding, and one of the contractors that got the award was this Safe America Media Company that received $143 million.
Many vendors got the chance to look at that contract and to participate in it. So that is why the two of them were chosen.
That's inaccurate, Madam Secretary. I'll read from the notice from your agency. Given the immediate action to significantly reduce illegal immigration and border crossings, DHS identified 4 companies. 4 of the hundreds of thousands of companies in the United States, you identified 4. One of those is this Safe America Media Company. Where is Safe America Media headquartered?
I don't know.
I don't know either, Madam Secretary. We can't find it. We can't find a website. We did find an address that's registered for this company. Do you know where that address is?
Is there a problem with this contract?
I'll tell you about it.
Madam
Secretary, the address is registered to a political operative. Madam Secretary, the company, and then I'll give you an opportunity to respond. The company is registered to a political operative in Virginia. Do you know, just by way of example, whether this company that received $143 million in taxpayer dollars, has it ever done work for the government before?
I don't know. I can't.
The answer is it has not. And do you know why we know that? Because it was incorporated 8 days before this contract went out. You want the American people to believe that this is all above board?
Yes,
that $143 million of taxpayer money just happened to go to this one company that doesn't have a headquarters, doesn't have a website, has never done work for the federal government before, and is registered apparently or attached to a residence from a political operative. And of course, one of the subcontractors of that contract, as you know, is a political firm that's tied to you back when you were governor of South Dakota. The reason why I ask these questions is that this is taxpayer money. And I presume, I don't know this for a fact, but Senator Tillis noted yesterday the way in which your agency is blocking the Inspector General from 11 different investigations that it is trying to conduct. I don't know if this happens to be one of them. I certainly hope it is, because eventually the facts will become public in this regard. And there are serious laws implicated, conflict of interest laws, federal procurement laws that I believe
followed. All done correctly, all
done correctly.
14 billion impressions from that marketing campaign.
Sure.
It was money spent in this country and in 8 different countries that illegal migration was coming from.
Madam Secretary,
overwhelmingly effective.
We all understand the argument that you've made, that somehow this ad campaign on Fox News of you at Mount Rushmore has led to millions of people self-deporting. You're using millions of dollars of taxpayer money in this way. It is fraud. And ultimately, I think there's going to be accountability. And I yield back, Bill.
Can I speak to the IG?
Yes, you can. Quick.
The IG has been told repeatedly, in writing, verbally, on the phone, that he can have access to anything at the Department of Homeland Security. He can. He doesn't need my permission to come and brief members of Congress on the Hill. He just needs to provide a scoping memo, which is what every single IG gets from every single department and agency. All intelligence agencies require a scoping memo. He just hasn't done that. He wants unfettered access to every single thing in the department, and that's not the process, and that's not any other IG has demanded that.
The gentlelady from Florida is recognized for 5 minutes.
Good afternoon, Secretary Noem. Thank you for being with us today. I would like to take just a moment to talk about.
So let's talk about what Congressman Neguse just laid out, because this is not complicated once you strip it down to the basic facts. And the basic facts are remarkable. The Department of Homeland Security spent $220 million of your tax money on an ad campaign. The biggest single piece of that, $143 million, went to a company called Safe America Media. And here are the things we know about that company. It has no website. Nobody can find its headquarters. It has never done work for the federal government before, and it was incorporated 8 days before it received this contract. 8 days old, $143 million. Noem stood before Congress and said it went out to a competitive bid. But her own agency filed a legal notice explaining why it was skipping competitive bidding entirely. Those two things cannot both be true at the same time. And then when Neguse asked where Safe America Media is headquartered, Noem said she did not know. The Secretary of Homeland Security, the person who personally approved all DHS contracts over $100,000 starting in June of last year, did not know where the company she gave $143 million to is located. But here is where the story stops looking like incompetence and starts looking like something else entirely. Safe America Media's only registered address is a property tied to a veteran Republican political operative named Michael McElwain. And buried inside the contract, Safe America Media subcontracted work to a firm called the Strategy Group. The Strategy Group was directly involved in Noem's 2022 South Dakota gubernatorial campaign, and its CEO is married to Noem's former chief, DHS spokesperson, Tricia McLaughlin. So the money flows like this. Your taxes go to DHS. DHS gives $143 million to a company that did not exist 8 days earlier. That company pays a subcontractor that worked on Noem's own political campaign and is run by the husband of her former press secretary. Senators have since obtained a breakdown of some of those expenses. They include a $60,000 signing bonus to the Strategy Group, over $20,000 in horse rentals, hair and makeup costs, and more than $100,000 in labor costs. All of it for an ad that featured Noem on horseback at Mount Rushmore during a government shutdown. And then there is Corey Lewandowski, Noem's senior advisor, operating in a special government employee role. House Democrats opened a separate investigation into Lewandowski last month over reports that he took kickbacks to advance certain contracts at DHS. Noem was fired shortly after these hearings. Trump said he never knew about the ad campaign, the same ad in which Noem thanks Trump directly for closing the border. So here is the question that sits underneath all of this. A company incorporated 8 days before the contract, no website, no prior government work, registered to a political operative's address, subcontracting to a firm tied to Noem's own political past. The Inspector General blocked from 11 separate investigations, and the person who approved it all says she does not know where the company is located. Does that sound like taxpayer money being spent to protect the border? Or does it sound like taxpayer money being spent to protect something else?